All right, we're here live with Alex Michael Miller, not the rapper, but the actual fine artist, designer, illustrator. And Alex, if you don't know his work, he owns a company, For Those Who Sin, which is an incredible design, apparel, fashion company, but you're also a tattoo artist. So I'm just excited to have you on the show. And the fact that you can do from tattoo work to illustrations to your own typography being incredible, to customize shoes, which we'll talk about, of course, on Kickin' It with Sneaker Steve, and the fact that you've come from Cleveland all the way to LA now as an artist is something that I know that the viewers are going to love. So I'm really excited to have you on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes,
it's an honor to be here. So I appreciate it so much.
All right, so let's get right into it. You know, the beauty of the show is that it's really about the people that I've met on the show organically, and that's someone like yourself. You know, we met organically. Even the first relationship that we had talking to each other was you coming in as a new designer, me just happening to be at the Lush Network showroom, and Luis telling me, hey, this is a new designer that's coming on board to Lush. Yeah. And I was just there really looking at you as a new designer and saying, hey, these are some tips, these are advice, this is price points, this is positioning. Yeah,
I remember that because I walked in the room, nobody was in the showroom yet, you were waiting on Luis to show up, and some dude was sitting next to me, I'm like, hey, what's up? And we just started talking and going back and forth. That's crazy to think that was like 2 years ago now. Yeah. That was an awesome moment and something I still cherish to this day. You know, you've kind of been like a mentor to me from that point, you know, moving forward. So yeah.
It's amazing from there to now where we're working on a collaboration with For Those Who Sin, with my new sneaker brand that's dropping, which I can't say the name, but you know, we know
it's coming.
If you know, you know.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it's coming. And you know what I'm excited for the listeners to hear is really your story. I thought your story was incredible. Like even the way. So take us through, now that I know the story, about how you came to LA, getting a job at a big fashion design house, and you didn't even live in LA.
Yeah, interesting story. I mean, coming from Cleveland, I guess where the story starts, I was in Cleveland. I had finished school. I went to school for, you know, graphic design, and got out of school and got a job immediately out of school working at a design firm. I was there for, I think I want to say 8 months. I was just not happy, you know, with the work I was doing necessarily. So I was driving to work one day, called my sister. She lived in Nashville at the time, still does live in Nashville, and basically told her, I was like, hey, can I come stay with you? And she's like, yeah, what do you mean? I was like, well, I'm on my way to work. I'm going to quit my job. I'm just going to come stay with you. And she's like, okay, when are you going to be here? It's like a Thursday. I was like, I'll be there on Monday. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah, I'm serious. I want to change. I want something in my life to change, and it has to happen dramatically for me. That's just kind of the way I
how old were you then?
Do things. I was 23 or 24. Okay. Yeah, 24.
And how long before that did it take you to come up with that decision? Because I think it's important for the viewers, a lot of the kids watching, is to think about, like, okay, so you had this, whether it be an epiphany or like a moment, but what was it? 9 months? Was it 1 month? Was it 1 week?
It was a good solid 6 months. I'm somebody who's big into like, I'm a very spiritual person. So every day I woke up for 6 months, and this moment here and the things that I'm doing in LA, the people I'm meeting and things, I was manifesting all of that. I would wake up every single morning and have conversations with people and be doing things that weren't real at the time, but now I'm getting to talk about the things that you know I was envisioning then. So it was 6 months of that building up for me to be like, you know what, it's time to make that move. And a lot of the books and the things that I was reading at the time were talking about these types of things. So it was just a big push for me to no time is better than now. You know what I mean? And in saying that, it was like, when I went to go quit my job, that's how it was. I went in there and I was like, here's my 2 weeks, but actually I'm leaving in 4 days because like I'm done. Like
where were you working?
I'm cashed out.
What did you quit from?
It was a design. Well, it's actually a printing company in Cleveland. I'm still cool with them and everything because I was close with my boss, but he wanted me to go. He was like, I knew you were ready to go. I knew you were ready to get out here. You're cashed out. Like it was draining to me as a creative. You know, doing the type of work I was doing there. So. yeah, I left, and I guess to keep going with the story, I left, drove down to Nashville.
Yeah.
I was living in Nashville. I was there for, I want to say 5 or 6 days, staying with my sister. And I'm on Instagram. I had already started, the idea for Those Who Sin and everything was already there. I had started in Ohio with a friend, Frank, of mine. And at the time, we were doing stuff with just like vintage T-shirts and things like that. But I went to Nashville, was staying there, was there for 5 or 6 days, and was on Instagram and was just, you know, fishing around for opportunities, whatever I could get. I was just hungry as hell to get into the industry, whatever way possible. And I come across this brand who's looking for interns in the LA area, reach out to him. You know, we start going back and forth, and I think it's like a Tuesday night we're talking, and they're like, well, can you come in for an interview on Thursday?
And which is the brand?
The brand is Daniel Patrick.
Daniel Patrick, which is a big fashion.
Which is a big designer.
Yeah.
And, you know, at that time, I was just like, whoa, you know what I mean? This kid that was just like, this is my dream, you know what I mean? Like, I was willing to jump at any opportunity. So you're in Nashville, you hit up somebody from LA, and you're like, I want to interview. Yeah. Well, yeah. How? On Instagram? On Instagram. On Instagram. DM? All on Instagram. Yes. Okay. And so, they, like I said, it's a Tuesday night, and they're like, can you come in on Thursday afternoon? I didn't even say anything. So because once again, I want the kids to like, and everyone to listen. Yeah, yeah. So what do you write in that DM? What did I write? I mean, it was just. Because, you know, everyone gets crazy DMs now. Yeah. Like, and your DM turned into a success because you got eventually hired, which we'll go into the story. But I want to know. Verbatim, I'm not exactly sure what I said. What was the vibe of the DM? Yeah, I think it was just, you know, they were looking for interns, and I kind of had showed some of the things that I was working on. And I think the biggest thing, because they were just looking for interns. So it was an entry-level position. Okay. And I think what got me in, what I had learned from the past is like, I was trying to hit up people and saying I was from Cleveland and stuff. I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore. Okay. I'm from LA. I live in LA. I'm already here. But you're in Nashville. There. Yes, I was in Nashville. So I told them that I was living in West Hollywood. A good friend of mine, Morgan, was living in West Hollywood. And so I just gave them that address. So they were like, you know, why not have this kid come by? We'll see what he's up to or whatever. They didn't know I was catching a flight that night to come meet them for the interview. So I literally got on a flight with a book bag, 2 pair of clothes or whatever, landed, went to the interview the next day, met Daniel and the team, and they were like, okay, yeah, we like you, da-da-da. When are you interested in starting? I'm like, whenever. They're like, what about right now? I said, okay. Okay. And then, so I finished the day there, and then I called my sister that night, and I'm like, hey, can you put my stuff in my car? Because somebody's coming to pick it up tomorrow. I called a place to ship my car from Nashville to LA that night, or the next day. They came and picked up my car and shipped my car to, so I moved to LA. How much did that cost? $700. $700. I thought it was going to be way more, but it was not that bad. Okay, $700. But at the time, it was a lot of money to me because I was broke. I can imagine. You know what I mean? But I'm all in at this point. Wow. You know what I mean? So, all right, so I'm just trying to, I want everyone, all the listeners, the viewers, to set the mood. So you're in LA, you're going to start an internship. Is the internship paid or non-paid? Not paid. Not paid. Not paid. All right, so not paid. It's a Daniel Patrick. I have like $1,500 to my name. Like, wow. And I'm living on my friend Morgan's couch. Oh my God. Yeah. All right, so continue. So it was a leap of faith. You know what I mean? That I took that was well worth it. Wow. But story gets better. Yes. Where was I at in the story? So now they say you need to start now. You say yes. So yes, I started. You ship your car. I started. So my car's on the way, but my car's not going to be here for 2 weeks. So I got 2 pair of clothes to last me for 2 weeks while I'm working at this place. Luckily, you know, they're giving me clothes for working there. Anyway, so I end up working with him. I'm like a sponge of information. Every day I'm coming in. I want to know the ins and out of how this thing works, from how he's sketching on a pad to final production to holding the garment to putting it online for sale to getting into retailers. You know, I want to know all of it. So I'm showing up early every single day and asking him just about everything, and he's loving it because he's like, you care, you really want to learn. I remember him telling me that. He was like, I can tell that you're somebody who's gonna, you know, not only do something cool with me, but do something, you know, outside of what I'm doing, because of, you know, I can tell you're genuinely interested in what we have going on here. Yeah. So Yeah, I ended up doing that for, I want to say it was about 6 months. Oh, sorry, I missed a part. The internship, I was interning for 4 or 5 days. Well, I couldn't sustain myself on that. So I basically went to him and I like had to tell him my story. I was like, listen, I don't live here, but I live here now because you just gave me this opportunity, so I live here.
Wow.
And after 4 or 5 days, I went to him, and it just kind of timed out perfectly. Another guy was leaving the company. So I basically came to him and I was like, hey, I would love to like work for you. Like
take that
position and stuff. And
what was that position?
That position was in retail in the store downtown.
Okay.
So I was the initial internship, I was kind of back of house, inventory, you know, all that kind of, you know, checking when stuff would come in production, sending stuff out.
Yeah.
So then I went into retail. I'd never worked retail in my life. So I went there for a while, and like I said, I did that for 6 months, but just I got to a point where I had learned so much that I was ready to get out and do it on my own. I just felt like I've consumed enough information here to learn what I need. And again, just like I did in Cleveland, I was like, I'm out, but I'm not like I'm out now. Like I need to go. I'm that person. Like when I know when I need to like move, and I got to move quick because
you follow your gut.
Yes, I follow my gut. My intuition tells me, hey, you have what you need here. You've got the information, so it's time to time to go find it.
What was Daniel's reaction to the fact where you came clean and you're like, hey, look, this is what's up. Like this is what really happened.
Yeah.
Did he embrace the fact that your desire, your hunger to go there, you know, and the tenacity to do that?
Yeah.
Did he like say, wow, this is amazing? Or was he like, oh man, I don't know. What was his
I think that there was a little bit of both, you know what I mean? I think that he wanted to see me do well.
Yeah. I mean, he knows you 4 days.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, you're talking about in the beginning.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
when you basically break it to him and you're like, hey, I don't really live here.
Oh, live here. Yeah.
I need a job.
I think he was pumped about it. He was like, this is I think he saw
drive?
himself in me because he has a similar story how he came to here and like got his start. So he saw, you know, a young kid who was hungry to get this information and do something for themselves. So he was ready to take it in. He kind of was like, come here, like let me show you some things. And in the same way you are with me, and you know you are with so many other people, it's like it was that type of relationship. It was like my uncle. He was like, "Come here, I want to show you some things, and then teach you along the way." So
yeah, I think that's really important for the viewers because, as you know, even in my story, even at 15, 20 years in the industry, there's been times where I've received my biggest orders through like my business partners, literally cold calling. I remember at one point we did a diffusion line for Androdome, and our biggest orders, which I think the first order was 16,000 pairs, which roughly comes out to like 200,000 or almost $250,000 first test order with Finish Line, and it was off of a cold call email on LinkedIn.
Yeah,
it was like we don't even got the guy's email. It was just like, hey, we're this brand here, we don't know you, and that turned into, you know, really, really big orders. So, you know, something that I learned from Gary Vee also is don't get fancy.
Yes.
And even for me, I can, even 20 plus years in, I remember I just don't get fancy, because that hunger, that drive, a lot of the things that got you to where you're at now, really sometimes you lose it. 100%, along the way.
And you got to reel yourself back in. It's a conversation I just had with a good friend of mine, I want to say 2 days ago. You get bougie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You get kind of like, you start getting used to like having these people that do this for you and having, you know, and then you lose sight of like, man, I was the one sweeping the shop. And so you still want to be the person sweeping the shop when you own it. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And so that's kind of where my head's at. You know, as of recently, it's like that's where I want to stay. Is like hungry at all times and willing to jump at any opportunity. And one of the things that we were talking about is like also treating everybody exactly the same, no matter you know who I meet and stuff. I try to treat them exactly the same because that same person you find out in a week does this or is that. You know what I mean? And then they can really help you, and you can help them. It's like. I just see, especially in LA, you know, the way that people maneuver and stuff. Unless you're introduced by this person, you know, you get treated a little bit different in certain situations, and that's something personally I definitely try to stay away from. Everybody's the same to me because you just don't know who's who.
Yeah. Yeah, so there's two things that I always stick with me. Well, one is that there's a quote that Diddy said, and I heard this a long time ago. He said, treat every day at work like you're an intern.
Yeah.
So it's like you haven't even got the job yet. You're an intern, and if you go in every single day, and I always remind myself, treat it like an intern, treat it like an intern. So every day, whether I'm there, I'm still respectful. I'm still the same way that I would be on my first day, that kind of behavior.
Yeah.
I treat it every single day that way. That's something that helped me in my career, get me to where I'm at now. The other one is I was talking about Don't Get Fancy. I was talking with Drama, who's also from Ohio.
Yeah, Akron.
And same thing. And, you know, Drama, you know, which is a super famous TV brand personality myself, being in the industry so far. And we were laughing about it, that we were having a meeting about social media and branding in a little coffee shop on a stoop, you know, where people wouldn't think that we would be there on a stoop with nothing, talking about that. And we both just reminded both of ourselves, hey, don't get fancy.
Yeah.
Like, this is still us.
This is how things get done. It's like, I think that people put...
we don't need to be at a hotel in Beverly Hills to have a meeting.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Go across the street, find a coffee shop, sit down at whatever bench.
Yeah, and get
talk.
it done.
Get it like you would always do, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm happy. I'm happy that you got to explain that side of the story, because it's really important, because people might see you now, you know, you're selling at some of the best stores in the world. Yeah. You're doing collaborations. You have this beautiful artwork. You have a brand. Celebrities are wearing your product. But I really want to know that, actually, not too long ago, how long ago was this?
When you first met me.
A year or 2 years.
The crazy thing about this, 2 years ago, the crazy thing about that story that we were just talking about when I first met you, that was the day that I walked into Lush Network, who I work with now.
The first day?
That was the first day that I had been there.
Crazy.
So I had made 2 hoodies and 2 T-shirts. That was the first line, my first line. That was it.
Oh my God.
And I walked in there because I was meeting with Luis about doing kind of a friend had introduced us, and he was like, he works in the fashion industry. You should meet this artist. I think he's destined to do some cool stuff. And so I walked in and had that meeting with him. We sat down, had a meeting, talked about this, that, and the other, how we might work on something. And I left. On purpose, I left the 2 T-shirts that I brought and the 2 hoodies hanging on the rack in the showroom,
so people can see it.
I'm not paying him anything to do anything.
Get attention.
I don't say anything. I walk out of the room, I'm gone. All this stuff's still hanging there. He calls me back 2 or 3 days later, and he's like, "Hey, what are you trying to do with this clothing brand and stuff like that?" I'm like, I'm down to do whatever. I'm hungry. I want to get in the fashion industry. I want to do something with my art and make something of it. And he's like, "Well, the reason I'm asking is because a bunch of stylists, keep coming in and out. They keep asking about this brand. They're really liking the T-shirts, the content, the things that are on it." And I'm like, "Okay, well, I'm with you. Let's do something. Let's work on something." So, from that point on, Lush and myself have kind of, been working together ever since.
Amazing.
Building a relationship, and then, with people like you involved, and it's just kind of like a networking thing is just as big as the art. So
yeah, it's amazing. And what got me about your art that time was the actual threads. Yeah. How you would leave the thread, so you did the cross, on the hoodie, and then the thread would be removed, or even on the T-shirts. Yeah. And that's what caught my eye. And I say, wow, this guy is really an artist. Let me pay close attention to the brand, because I saw something there that was bigger, even before you even created the whole brand. Yeah.
Yeah, and I feel like I'm continually trying to do that. I'm trying to find different ways to manipulate, because I think that the clothing is just a self-expression, and I think that you and I had a conversation, and some other people had a conversation about this the other day. Is like, for me as an artist, I'm an artist. Like I still don't even call myself a designer. Okay, like good. I'm an artist up front. Like, that's just what I am. That's what I come from. And so, like, for me, I always look at the clothing, the shoes, anything that like product based is just a takeaway. Like I said, my end goal is to curate experiences, to be able to show and inspire people by having an event or doing, having a space to people. Like, they come in, there's a lot going on, there's different art forms, there's different mediums that I'm using and things like that, and then they leave with a pair of shoes, they leave with a hoodie or a T-shirt or a jacket or pants, and that's the takeaway. And it's like,
it's a piece of your art,
exactly,
rather than the product.
It's a piece of art. I think that the market, the fashion market is already so flooded with just people just producing clothing that it's, like everything is with me. It's about the story. Like, I want to know there needs to be a story about it, or it doesn't hold my attention long enough, or it's not true to me. It's just like, okay, that's another thing. Yeah, it's just another thing. So That's what I like it to be, a takeaway of the experience.
Yeah, I hear you say that a lot. Like, I want them to take something away. I want them to take away, which means that you care about the consumer. And I believe that that's why you're growing and your brand is growing so fast, because people feel that. Yeah. And you're also telling a message. So let's go back to the story. So you're at Daniel Patrick, you're at the store, you're now, does he hire you for the store? Yeah. All right, so he hires you for the store, so keep going.
Yeah, through the store, I'm starting to learn more about how the industry works. I'm meeting stylists. I mean, I have a friend here that was a stylist, and she's introducing me to people. The first time I meet Luis from Lush is at the store. He comes in.
Oh, dope.
Yeah, a girl from Daniel Patrick there was telling me, he works with this brand. I'm like, okay, cool. And I'm looking at him like, oh, bro, like, what do you do? You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I'm like looking up to these people. I have no idea what they're doing. Yeah, I'm just that hungry of an artist that I'm just like, I want to work with everybody, do whatever I can. So everybody that is in the fashion industry is like on a pedestal at this point for me right now. I'm just like, whatever you do, I want to do. So let's work. So yeah, I'm kind of learning the ins and outs of the industry, how it works, and from all different angles. So that was a great experience for me. And like I said, I was there for, I want to say 6 to 8 months, and then again I felt in my gut, it's time to jump, Alex. It's time to jump. You have the information you need now. So go take that information and start the next journey. And that's a few days later when I met you is when I left Daniel Patrick.
Oh wow.
And so it's been ever since then, it was just like well, I guess it sounds all like the goal and glory from then. I just started a brand and it started popping off. I mean, I was at that time, I had left my job, so I was still trying to pay bills. So I was delivering I was Postmating every day, just hustling to make money. I was making art for people, doing custom shoes for people, doing all kinds of different stuff just to make $1. I was staying on a couch. I lived on the couch for the first year that I lived, bouncing back and forth for the first year that I lived in LA. Just making sacrifices to to get to where I'm at and where I'm going. So
and how did you how did you balance that out? Because I also think that's important for people to know, like, the real story. Like you say, we talk about people live through each other's Instagram highlight reels. Yeah. And I love that you're able to share like what it really takes. Yeah. I've had to sleep on couches numerous times, in multiple times of my life. So it's not like I slept on a couch when I was young trying to make it, then I just made it. No, it's dips and
when you think you make it, it's like you get smacked, and it's always a humbling experience.
Yeah, you never know. So how did you, couple things. How did you stay focused on the art during that time? Because I know that a lot of these jobs are hard and they don't pay a lot. And how do you stay positive and confident and really focused while you're also after doing a lot of like tough stuff to make it?
I think for me, personally, it's 99% of it is mentally. And the conversations that we've had, it's a combination of mental health, physical health, so at the time and even now, like I was on this healthy kick. I'm waking up early, I'm eating the right things, I'm meditating, my mind is in the right place, so nothing can bother me at that moment. You know what I mean? Like I have $20 to my name, but nobody would ever know that. You know what I mean? Like smiles on my face. I'm just doing because I know mentally that if I pretend like I have $20 in my pocket, I have $20 in my pocket. But if I don't pretend, like that's only my current situation right now. That has nothing to do with 10 minutes from now, a week from now. That is just a temporary moment. So that's just kind of how I think. I manifest a lot of different things, and I don't let my present state or present, whatever's going on at that moment determine what I'm going to be doing in the future.
I love that.
So.
Yeah, that's a great example.
It's a mentality, really.
Yeah, I like that a lot, and a lot of us are entrepreneurs and we have big hopes and big dreams, and it's really important for us, no matter what you're at, to not let that equate where your value is.
Exactly.
So that's amazing that you've done that.
Yeah, and as an artist, it's one of the hardest things to do as an artist, because I think that I have so many artist friends, and it's trying to keep that level of integrity with your art while you're broke. You know what I mean? Like you're trying to just make money and you're willing to do whatever, but you know, it's something it's a battle every single day, is keeping the integrity of you as an artist, but trying to maintain, you know, paying bills and you know, doing this and running a brand and paying people to do, you know, this for you. But again, it's just, you know, looking at the future, not the, you know, the present, you know, where you're at in the present. So yeah, you kind of have to just be aware. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about, like, on the sneaker side, when did you start doing customized sneakers? Because we were talking about earlier in the office that you were doing them as a kid. You know, kids will be wearing Jordans, but you were already thinking something different. Yeah,
I was.
Bring us back to like that. And what grade was that? What age was that?
I mean, I didn't wear shoes until I was probably 12 because I lived in Texas and we just ran around with no shoes all the time.
For real?
Yeah, for real. Like I didn't wear shoes at all. Like no shirt, no shoes, and at all.
That's amazing.
So I was definitely not into shoes at that age.
I love that.
And then
growing up in New York City, that sounds crazy to me, but I love it. That's real.
We just ran around no shoes. Like I knew nothing about shoes because we didn't wear them. But I mean, after that point, you know, once I'm in my teens, like like middle school and things like that, I'm playing sports at the time, basketball and stuff like that. And like I told you, everybody, you know, Jordans, everybody was into the basketball shoes and what was hot at that time. Yeah. You know, getting the new Jordans. But I don't know, like I never fell into that category of like, you know, wanting, because I would see, like I told you, like I would see everybody, oh, the new Jordans come out, and then everybody would go get that shoe, and then we'd come to school, and I'd be sitting at lunch, and all my friends are wearing the same shoe, and I'm just thinking,
that's whack.
That's whack. Why you guys all want to be wearing the same shoes? Like I want something different, so I would go find, you know, a shoe that was way less popular, whether it's, you know, maybe some shoes that are some off-brand shoes or whatever. And I didn't have money either to spend on Jordans and stuff like that. And I would just take those and, you know, anything from, I was always drawing on my shoes or painting on my shoes or changing the laces out of them, or, you know, anything to kind of like make them my own, where I know that when I go to school tomorrow, nobody has these shoes because I made these shoes. I did something different about these shoes, and everybody else has the same shoes. So yeah, that's kind of where it started. It was, you know, I was just customizing my own thing. And same thing with the fashion industry. The same thing applied to, you know, to clothing. I didn't have a bunch of money to spend on clothing, and, you know, I'm 6'4", you know, 190 pounds. So like not everything was, I'm not a fit model size. So I was just constantly tailoring my own clothing to fit me.
Got it.
Yeah, and that's where the customization kind of led me down that road.
I thought it was so interesting too, because back then, I draw like a parallel or similarity between a lot of my skater friends. Yeah. So I grew up in New York during the hip hop age of the 80s and 90s. A lot of the skaters, which, you know, skate in Supreme and Vans, and it's so high fashion right now. It's so big popular culture. So it's kind of like this grunge look, you know, like this mechanic. We talked about the oils paint or painted, distressing. Yes. That's very like blue collar worker, which is like high fashion also now.
100%.
But back then, when you were doing it, it was actually looked down upon. Yeah. Same from the skater standpoint, like they were looked down upon. And I think it's almost like that, that kind of society, or the way that society, or like, let's say mainstream society would look down at skaters or like grunge. And now it's the thing. Yeah. Now it's like the look.
It's so crazy too. When I used to see my father come home from working construction and stuff like that, and he had plaster on his pants and they were all beat up, and the boots he was wearing, and just, you know, the Carhartt jackets or the Dickies jackets, the workwear. Yeah. I mean, it was from working. Yeah. And so like the distressing and that kind of stuff. And to see where it's
cool?
At the time, I just, you know, it was my dad, you know what I mean? So I looked up to him. I was like, he's a hard worker. I want to be like him, you know what I mean? So it was like that Midwest, like blue collar worker type thing. So yeah, I looked up to it, you know what I mean? I was like, that's cool. I want to be like that. I want to do that kind of thing. And and I kind of came full circle. But yeah, back then, people were not like, oh, those are fashionable. You're killing it right now with that.
Like you're working. Yeah.
But now it's come full circle where people are, you know, aiming for that look. I mean, workwear is coming back crazy right now. Yeah. The distressing, the painting on everything and stuff like that. But, you know, in the conversation that, you know, that we've had in the past week is like, my biggest thing is like, I want to make sure that the kids and stuff understand where this is coming from, where these inspirations are coming from. It's, you know, everything that the fashion industry is manufacturing, the oil stains and the paint stuff, but I think people are forgetting where that's coming from. It's not, we're not just painting, there's not just paint on the pants because it looks cool. I mean, for some people it might, but there's a story behind that. That came from somewhere. That came from somebody working in those for 20 years, wearing the same pair of jeans for 20 years, and just like having those painted on, or the distress marks and stuff like that. And now, you know, people like me are going out and seeking to find these things at flea markets or, you know, different stuff like that, and using those as inspiration, because that's what I saw as a kid. That's what my father, that's what the people that I was looking up to, the hard workers that were, you know, running my family and putting, you know, a meal on my plate every night were wearing. So I think like pulling that inspiration from, you know, my childhood is what kind of inspires me. And my grandfather was a mechanic and then an aeronautical engineer, so he was working on aircraft and things like that. So a lot of that kind of stuff is has an underlying theme going on in, you know, in my work, is, you know, and then me as an artist. So then, you know, there's the mechanic and construction worker, and now I'm an artist. So these different traits and these different, you know, crafts, like, you know, everybody's like a craftsman. You know, finding that different one. So it's kind of been passed on the line. We've all did something different, or doing something different, you know, but it's very similar in a sense. So
yeah, I love that, and I think you're right. People forget. Like there's a beauty in that labor, in that craftsmanship. There's years of 20. Like I think when you said it, it's perfect. Some guy wore those jeans for 20 years. And just what that looks like.
And now we're trying to replicate those processes in factories. So
totally. Yeah, I think that's amazing. All right, cool. So now you start customizing shoes. Where do you start with, or like what? I mean, we got these amazing Vans right here.
So I just.
So tell me a little bit about the artwork and like your thoughts, because we never really talked about like what is the rhyme or reason for each one. Walk me through the process. Do you just are the shoes and products just like paper for you and you're just doodling, or is there a concept, a preconceived concept before, and you know what you're going to do on that specific shoe?
To be 100%, I'm not a crazy conceptual person. I'm just not that person. I've come to the realization, I tried to be for so long, that like this is going to have this crazy concept and stuff like that. I'm more of like, it's doodles, and then through those doodles and through all of the information that I'm consuming and the expression of myself and you know, other things, is like what's coming out is like just an expression of all the things that I'm into and interested in, whether it's film, whether it's poetry and things like that. So those types of things are being flipped on their head and then coming out through my pencil. And that's pretty much how everything starts with me, is like, you know, I started drawing as a kid, and you know, and that's where I still am. Every design that I do, every T-shirt, every shoe, everything starts on a piece of paper. You know, from concept, you know, to finish. I mean, even these shoes here, everything's hand illustrated. And I guess there's a bit of a poetic, like a darker poetic undertone. I'm into like, I'm very big into poetry and like you know, darker indie films and stuff like that. So like that's where
the hopeless romantic.
Yeah, the hopeless romantic. So yeah, that's where a lot of the inspiration is derived from. So like I said, mixing. So there's a juxtaposition there. It's like that hopeless romantic, darker poetic thing versus this blue collar worker. You know what I mean? So those two worlds like collide, and that's kind of what
it feels like. Purple Rain, the movie.
What it looks like. There you go. There you go. Exactly.
I know you got the lover boy right here.
Correct.
Like,
yeah. So a lot of the tattoo culture. And this one in specific was like, I think I had done a little bit of tattooing back. You know.
Do you do that yourself on yourself?
Well. This one, I didn't do it myself on myself. I did it.
Do you do any of them on yourself?
Well, my friend Colby, we just started tattooing each other. So this one, I kept trying to get him to write this on my neck, and he couldn't get it right. So I just went in the mirror and wrote it with a Sharpie on my neck, and I was like, just tattoo that exact thing on my neck. And then he just tattooed it on my neck.
Oh my God!
Like I said, I had been.
You Sharpied it,
and I Sharpied it, and then he just went over it.
All right, how does that feel? Does it feel crazy?
Actually, the neck is not bad at all.
No?
No. There's so many other areas that are worse, but you would think that this is a bad area.
Because my wife and I, you see how you have the Roman right here?
Yeah.
My wife and I are looking to do our wedding day right here. Saying that, yeah. Does that hurt?
I mean, it's all relative. You know what I mean? They all hurt.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's nothing that you can't, like, especially right here, it's not like nothing crazy.
Not the major pain point.
Yeah, it's not a major pain. Feet, hands, sternum was terrible. Sides, like those, there's some sensitive areas. But,
got it. But here it's a little bit like.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
Not as bad. Okay, good.
So yeah, I started getting into that, you know, when I was in, I think it was when I was in college was the first time.
Have you tattooed anything on yourself?
Yeah, I tattooed a bunch of stuff on my legs. You know, just like practice. I have a big spider web right here. This poet of your heart.
You just practice on yourself.
Yeah, I practice on myself a lot. And Colby, my good friend Colby is like a canvas for me. I've tattooed a ton of stuff on his chest. His whole arm is basically a bunch of stuff that I've tattooed. So.
Oh my God.
It's just like.
I'm scared to ask, but what about if you mess up? Because you're talking about practice.
Yeah. Then actually, this is a funny story. The first tattoo that I ever gave Colby.
Oh my God.
What is the quote? It says.
You're Scorpio?
Scorpio, yeah.
I'm Scorpio too. Okay.
When is your birthday?
Halloween.
Oh, okay. Mine's the 3rd.
Yeah.
The first tattoo I ever gave Colby, he has this rose thing right here, and it says, "I'll tell you what freedom means to me. No fear." And I put, "I'll tell you what freedom means to you. No fear."
Oh,
and I put 2 U's, like Y-O-U and then Y-O-U. And so we didn't even notice. Nobody even noticed it. Because the brain's tricky. I've done this on a design of mine, a t-shirt design, an old t-shirt design. On the one of the t-shirts, nobody's ever even noticed it. I just noticed it like maybe 3 months ago. There's a double word. But when that kind of stuff happens, I love it. It's like I made a mistake, but like, it's beautiful. It's like it's not perfect. It's cool. Like, and nobody even noticed it. Like, so basically the word was doubled up, and then
it's Y-O-U.
And then a Y-O-U, so it's you. But when your brain reads it, it doesn't read the 2 words. It just reads it as you, and then you go on to the next word.
Yeah.
So we didn't notice it for like 2 or 3 days. I think it was like maybe a couple days or whatever. And then he's like, somebody said something. He's like, you, and I saw it. So then what I did, I came back in and just crossed out the first U.
Yeah.
And now it's funny how that worked, because I do that all the time in my art now.
Okay.
Sometimes on purpose, most of the time not on purpose. You know what I mean?
And you just keep it.
And I just keep it. You know what I mean? It's just like a part of the process. Like, I'm not trying to. I do everything.
Be perfect.
I'm not trying to be perfect. I do everything in pen now. There's no erasing. I don't erase anything. It all stays. So whatever I put down, that was part of the expression at that moment. Same thing when I'm the same way with photography.
Yeah.
When I'll shoot photography or shoot lookbooks and campaigns and stuff like that, I don't shoot with a digital camera, because it's like, look, here's all these, can we do it again? Can we do it? Like, I'm here to capture that moment for what it was. Like it was beautiful the way it was. We don't need it. I don't want to keep changing things and stuff like that. So
it's like the beautiful imperfection.
Exactly. I mean, that's a great way to describe the brand, you know, and me in specific is like the beauty. Like, I just find the beauty in, you know, the imperfections of things.
Because that's reality.
Yeah, exactly. It's real.
Yeah. I remember Kanye talks about that.
Yeah. It ties right back to, you know, the Instagram highlights, like those.
That's not real.
It's just those are just the highlights of that person's life, that person's thing. There's so many other things that are going on that lead up to those points, and it's cool to be able to show those moments. But it's cooler for me to be able to show where those moments came from. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, that was just when they won the championship. But here's when the basketball team won the championship. Here's the documentary of them every single day in the gym, you know, running sprints, practicing, shooting free throws and things like that. So and it's part of the journey. The journey is like the most beautiful part. Yeah. You know, you get to the destination, you're like, sometimes you're like, I'm here. Yeah. But then, like, if that whole time you were worried about the destination, you forget, you know, you got to enjoy, you know, as you're growing and building. And I think
it's beautiful in terms of, like, if you're, at least for me, I'm a teacher, you know, at heart. Yeah. Like, I love to teach, I love to educate, and it's important for people to see that so that they know what it really takes to make it. It just doesn't just happen out of overnight, and that's why I think it's so important for you to tell your story as much as you can, because that beautiful imperfection is what's real, what makes your life.
And that's how you get there. Like, every successful entrepreneur, you know, doing anything comes from the same thing. Whether they choose to show it or share it or not, it doesn't, like, that's not what's important. Is like, everybody went through struggles and was broke and then had money and was broke, you know what I mean? So it's a constant battle, you know, every day. So I think that showing that and not being afraid, not being shy.
Yeah.
You know, to share those moments. You know, not being afraid of, you know, that you have to go through those things to get where you are.
So there's the other pair right there that you did for me, which are beautiful. On the high tops. I love them. You know, here we got.
Yeah.
Oh, these are incredible. Yeah, man. If you can just break these down, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
I love. So what is this with the chains and the sin and where does the for those who sin come from as well?
Yeah, for those who sin, it's. I was talking about this earlier. It's like I wanted to
Queens,
yes,
Los Angeles.
Los Angeles. For those who sin was like an expression, you know, that I came up with. It was almost like that shock value that I like to sometimes that I do through my art is like people look at it and instantly it's almost like they want to like shun it or like think it's a negative thing.
Yeah, because even when I first like started here, it does because it's the sin part.
Yeah, it's like, but it's all about what we've been taught. That's just a word. That's just a perception that we've put on something. You know what I mean? So I'm trying to basically that phrase came about because I really want to flip the script on basically how we think is like
a sin.
Yeah, like a sin. Like what is a sin? That's just any of us going against, you know, a preconceived notion or, you know, the government or what's said to be right, you know, or whatever it might be. That doesn't mean anything other than that, you know. So I think that there's
and then if you think about it, if you go into the beautiful imperfection, for those who sin are everyone.
Exactly.
We're humans.
Yes, exactly. We as humans are sinners.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
And there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, we are not perfect human beings.
I think that's an interesting message too, to when you really dive deep into the name.
Exactly. So again, it was like I want something that has deeper meaning, and also has a little bit of shock value because when I first started it, I remember, you know, people, especially with the darker poetic, you know, the vulgarity of some of the things that I use, people would turn to me and think that I was some, you know, devil worshiper and just like these crazy things. And like anybody who's ever met me is like, we already know that that's not the case at all, you know, no matter what, you know, the name of it is and things like that. So again, it's just those preconceived notions and those are things that other people are projecting on you and things like that.
Totally.
So for me, it was just like I wanna like flip the script and like really make people think about what they think and like, do you actually think that, or was that something you were told and now you're just believing that because you were told that?
You were
Same
programmed
thing with
to
religion and all those types of things is like, you know, we have to like find what works for us and what our beliefs are, and that comes from here, not from what we've been told or, you know, everything else is like you got to find your own truth. So, you know, that's kind of
the story
behind it, and where the name came from.
So now, like, you know, these you can't get anywhere because these are for Sneaker Steve. These are mine.
These are
one of ones. So you got the Queens.
Yeah, Los Angeles.
You got the Los Angeles. There's some secrets in this shoe that we can't talk about.
Yes.
But you'll definitely find out very, very soon.
Yeah.
And but for some of your other custom product, where, you know, tell the listeners and the viewers, where can they find it, you know? Yeah,
so we'll be releasing a shoe very similar to this. This is the black version. This is the Hopeless Romantic version, but we're doing the Heartbreakers version, which actually is very similar. But it's a red. It's a red broken heart.
Sick.
With the roses flipped vertically the other way, and it's the Heartbreakers version. So yeah, this will be dropping in February.
Valentine's
Day, exactly.
Ah, sick.
So we'll be dropping this along with another shirt that will go with a Loverboy shirt.
Oh, dope.
So yeah, it'll kind of be like a little package deal. That'll be in February, and then I mean we're constantly doing stuff with shoes. I mean, obviously the next thing is.
So now, what about those Comme des Garçons joints? Those
are
fire.
The CDGs.
CDGs.
I mean, this is
coming in hot.
A classic shoe, probably my favorite shoe ever made. I mean,
ouch.
Honestly, I mean you can't go wrong with these.
Because we got multiple cameras on Sneaker.
This one in specific, for the guys who aren't sneakerheads. I mean, a lot of people. I show people a lot of these, especially my friends.
I thought they came like that.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of people are like,
"That's how good your customs are."
Yeah, they don't know what does come on here. So for the people who don't know, it does come. The shoe is this color. It comes with black dots with this heart on it. And so basically, I come in, I change the laces. I made
wax laces. These are beautiful laces.
And then
these are not wax. What are these?
I don't even know, honestly.
They're incredible.
I come in and make the black dots. Silk. They're like 8 balls, and then I put the little arrows in the CDG guy here.
So all these little 8 balls, those are all painted by hand for you?
Yeah, by hand. Mm-hmm.
And then how long does this take you to do?
I mean, this pair probably took me maybe a couple hours.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I add the string detail, and then on the back here you can see a lighter detail. So this is the top of a lighter. I pull it off and clamp it on the back.
Light clip.
It's something
top of a lighter.
Yeah.
Why top of a lighter?
I think that I got the idea way back in the day. I think I saw a guy wearing, who's I'm trying to remember.
Because you said you put lighter clips like on your jacket.
Exactly. Well, that's where I got it from. This guy was wearing a motorcycle jacket. And he was riding a motorcycle jacket, and I forget, it was a friend of a friend, and he had a lighter clip that he just put it off, and I was like, I love that. So I just started I was putting them on my jackets and stuff like that. I just love them as like a hardware accessory piece that it just fits the entire vibe. You know what I mean?
Of like totally.
So
and then I tell them about your stitch, because I love these little hidden stitches. Yeah, which are beautiful.
The stitch comes from I'm always trying to find a product and then figure out what I love about it and some of the things that I think that it could improve on. And this one, I can't Converse. I don't know how you guys haven't figured this out yet, but most shoes, neither of us have them on. They have like the little what do you call that thing right here?
Sure, it holds the lace.
It holds the laces, so when you're wearing the shoes, your foot's not just like hanging out, and all the laces
and the tongue is not just flapping.
So that was my the way to resolve the problem. I just put these little X's on both sides.
Amazing. I love it with the red hand stitch.
Yeah, and I saw a guy do that before on a friend's pair of shoes, and I was like, I love that idea. I need to start doing that on all my shoes.
So sick.
Because it just holds the thing. It holds the tongue in place. And
could you do that for all my shoes?
Absolutely. Yeah. Got it. It's it's a.
Is it hard? Is it machine or like?
No, it's just hand.
By hand.
By hand, yeah. So it takes a minute. Yeah. So.
Wow.
That's
yeah, this is incredible.
That's the CDGs. So, hopefully we could.
You got that? Yep.
Woo. Do something with them.
So let's talk about these bad boys.
Oh yeah,
no pun intended, 90s bad boys.
Bringing the
Can't Stop, Won't Stop.
Bringing
Diddy,
the Timbs back.
Harlem, yes. Queens, BQE, Verrazano Bridge.
That's hilarious.
There's a lot of tolls being paid.
Right.
A lot of bridges being crossed. These are crazy.
Yeah. So again, that's a perfect example of that workwear. So. A Timberland.
Yeah.
What is a Timberland? A Timberland was not made for what you're wearing them for right now.
Yeah.
A Timberland is a work
stunning
boot.
on a TV show?
It's a work
with Swarovski crystals on?
Exactly. That is a work boot that we have made, fashionable. And so, again, that's, crossing both. It's a hybrid of that workwear versus now it's like this sense of fashion. We've taken this blue collar idea and concept and made it cool, and I think people lose sight of where these things come from. What was a Timberland made for? What was the original purpose? Why does it have this soul? Why does it have this construction and things like that?
And thank you, man. These are beautiful. So,
absolutely.
So break down the artwork. What does it mean to you? What is the concept behind these?
Yeah,
at least?
I mean the skulls is just like that's something classic. I worked on a skull for so long. I would draw skulls, but I finally found my signature skull after drawing skulls for years. I'd see how other people did them, and then you finally get to a point where it's like, this one's right. This is me. So it's a very specific the way I draw it. And so for this one, I didn't want to do an all over print. I just like the paneling effects of kind of like laying them out like that.
And what's the numbering on the toe?
And it's tricky. The numbering on the toe is 18, so 2018 is when I finished them. Yeah.
Sick. Sick.
Is when I finished them. So, and a lot of people, when I show these on Instagram and online and stuff like that, I'd say a majority of the people think that they're printed. Like, people don't know I draw them. I think people are confused because it
looks so perfect.
Yeah, the patterns are like the way I'm placing them.
It literally looks like printed, like it's manufactured, but
exactly,
it's not.
But it's not.
Wow. So it's incredible.
It's funny because I get hit.
Mel Peralta.
I get hit up all the time.
Paging Mel Peralta.
I get hit up all the time. Asking
man.
if they're printed or drawn on.
Wow, this is crazy. This is so beautiful, man.
Love it.
So so what's next, bro? Because now 2 years, things are going fast.
Yeah.
Like now you're in what are some of the retailers, stores that you're in now?
I mean, we're overseas a lot. Louis V. Aroma, Restier.
And Louis V. Aroma being one of the biggest fashion stores in all of Europe, in Florence, Italy.
I'm just grateful that, you know, these people, you know, have grown to love my art and see you know, you know, something in me and the artwork to transcend it to these other places. So, I mean, what's next this year, 2018, is for me, I'm going to focus so much on collaborations. I want to work with people like yourself that, you know, that are not only great people, but have great opportunities and have experience in the industry to a newcomer like me, to kind of see where else I can go with things, you know what I mean? And to see what's next and to do other cool things. I just love working with awesome people that are.
And you already know we're up to something.
Exactly. Up to something crazy.
Yeah, so we can't tell you or you. We can't tell you, but
I'm looking forward to it.
Oh man, I'm so excited.
It's gonna be.
Our meeting earlier today was crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. We got something cooking for you, heavy.
So yeah, I mean.
So now you're doing
collaborations.
So apparel.
Apparel, yeah.
There's the footwear.
There's footwear. There's murals. There's tattoos. You know, as we spoke about before, for me, it's all about curating. I want to be a curator of experiences. So, I mean, my end goal is to be an artist, you know, art director for these experiences, to have, you know, to take over these spaces or to curate these spaces where people are coming in and we have artists doing murals. There's tattoo artists there. There's customization going on from these products and stuff like that. You know, we're getting into like the VR. That's the new era of that kind of stuff. So there's just so many ways to take you know, this platform of art.
What would your artwork look like in VR?
I have no idea. That'd be crazy.
I just came from CES in Las Vegas 2 days ago. It was absolutely the busiest show I've ever been to.
Yeah.
It was so inspiring. Because, you know, I'm heavy in the fashion world.
Yeah, yeah.
But to see the tech world, see how it's booming.
It's crazy.
See the technology.
I have some friends and it's incredible.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
So what would your artwork look like in VR? I mean, we are here in Silicon Beach, so.
Yeah, that's a crazy thought. It'd be wild. It'd be Mario looking with these characters and, like, you know what I mean? Like these 3D illustrations. I mean, it would look like things came up off of a piece of paper, you know, and came alive. So.
Sick.
I would love to get into that. So yeah, I think
also on the Y2K Sports, on like even NBA 2K, all the basketball, all the games and stuff like that. They're starting to incorporate, a lot of the video games starting to incorporate fashion.
It's crazy.
So we'll set up that meeting for you too, because we're meeting with those guys.
That happened to me the other day for the first time. I have a jacket, a collaborative. Leather jacket that I do with my homie in Brooklyn.
Is that the one?
Terry Urban.
Terry Urban. Okay,
Terry Urban. Yeah. So we work on these, you know, vintage leather jackets a lot together. And somebody sent me a picture on Instagram.
That's like the one that we gave to J Balvin.
Correct. And the one that Peep wore, and people have been going crazy ever since, you know, since his passing. But somebody sent me a DM. I guess somebody created a mod, or I don't know how it all works. I'm not a big gamer. A mod in, I think, GTA or one of the games where you can wear the Never Say Die jacket in the game. So they have the jacket on in the game, and they're running around in the game wearing the custom painted jacket in the game. And I was whoa, that's crazy!
Wow.
We didn't even mean to. We're over in the gaming industry now. Like, hit the gaming market. So yeah, it's amazing. I think the technology is already incredible, and you know, I would love to you know, be a part of, you know, where it's going, you know, and especially with, like I said, curating these experiences. I mean, the VR and the types of things that are being talked about and being shown is out of this world.
Incredible.
I mean,
now, so for you, like, what would you advise, or like, you know, there's so many kids and youth and just entrepreneurs and designers and artists listening. What is something that you could give them advice to? You know, just from you, like from where you've been, like where you come from to where you're at now. Yeah. Like what's some of the tips and advice you have?
I think the biggest one is, because I think that everybody comes to a certain point in their life where it's like that jumping point. You get to the edge, and there's all the things behind you that are calling you back: the job security, the family, the girlfriend, you know, all these things that are back there that they're comfortable. You don't want to leave them, but you're at that edge. But on the other side it's just black. It's just unknown. But that's where all the opportunity's at. And so, for me, it's that taking that leap from what I did is making that jump is like, the biggest thing for me is like, not being scared to be uncomfortable and to be, that's when you're learning about yourself the most, is like getting uncomfortable, constantly putting yourself in situations that you're feeling like, I don't know about this. This is kind of scary. I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what's going on, but I'm learning something about myself, and I'm not comfortable, because I think so many times, even within my personal family and people around me, I've seen I feel like I've seen people, not just seen or heard about people where they're at that edge in life, and they kind of turn around and they go back and they're comfortable, and then later on in life, as they're older and time has passed, and they're getting old, and then you end up on your deathbed and you look back and it's like
regret. Yeah,
like for me, I'm so big on oh wells than what ifs. Like if I do something, I'd rather be like, if it wasn't that great, oh well. Then, I love that. Then what if?
Oh wells than what ifs.
Yeah, like
I mean, if that ain't a shirt for you already,
exactly.
Oh wells and oh man, that's it.
Because that's like
I'd rather live for an oh well than a what if.
Exactly. That's how I try to live my life, because there's just so many opportunities and things that you can do, but I think people are scared to even try or take those chances, because they might look dumb or it might not work out. But like, another thing I heard somebody say the other day, it might have been on, I forget what I was watching, but like, you could fail at something you hate. You could turn around when you're at that edge, turn around and go back and be comfortable and still fail. Yeah. But if you jump and you get over there and you fail, guess what? You can always turn around and jump back and be comfortable again. Like get back, and that's always there. For me, that was at home. That was Cleveland, Ohio. That was working that design job. I can always go back there and get a 9-to-5 job and do that thing. But I'm so grateful that I was like, hey, that's cool. Yeah. Let me try something else. I want to go down this path. You know what I mean? So that's my biggest, advice to anybody that like is kind of like, oh, I don't know. I'm kind of scared. I don't know if I should do it. I don't want to be uncomfortable. Well, that's where you're going to learn. Like, get ready to get uncomfortable, because it's not going to be easy. Nothing in life that you want is going to be easy. Yeah. So, that's where like my biggest drive comes from, is like, it's not easy. It's not going to be, a cakewalk. And so, but that's, again, beauty in the imperfections. And that's where it comes from. So
beauty in the imperfections, man. Well, thank you, brother, man.
100%. I appreciate you so much, brother.
Miller, yeah.
Yes, sir.
A pleasure for those who sing.
Uncle Steve.
Yeah, I'm so excited. Thank you for doing the show, Kicking It with Sneaker Steve.
Thank you so much.
It's a wrap.
Appreciate it.
Right, let's go.
Thank you, guys.